Let's be honest, the last few generations of Mercedes SL haven't been the most captivating sports cars. But this is no ordinary car. This is now redesigned from the ground up by AMG for the first time ever. It features the familiar 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine that we've come to see in many Mercedes models at this point. In this configuration, it produces a jaw-dropping 577 horsepower and 590 foot-pounds of torque, mated to a 9-speed dual-clutch transmission, putting power for the first time in an SL to all 4 wheels, resulting in a 0 to 60 time of just 3.5 seconds with a top speed of 196 miles an hour. And for those of you concerned with fuel economy, it's good to know that the car still manages to achieve 14 miles per gallon in the city and 21 miles per gallon on the highway. But the SL63 just isn't about power and speed. It also comes packed with some groundbreaking new features. For example, rear-wheel steering for the first time in an SL, 4MATIC Plus, which allows for rear-wheel drift mode for those of you who like to have some good old tire smoking fun. Now that's what we call thrilling, and I'm happy to see that AMG is stepping it up a notch with the SL. So I guess the question remains, is the SL finally a sports car worthy of competing with the 911, or is it just another comfy GT car, like it has been for many years? Let's find out.
Driving the SL63, it makes it clear right away that this is definitely more AMG than the lazy GT cruiser with a lot of power that was pretty much what the last few generations of SL products were. It truly is exciting. I mean, you have all-wheel drive finally for the first time. You have rear-wheel steering, which really makes it easy to maneuver in parking lots, but you do notice it on back roads. Active suspension, and I mean, paired with the massage seats, this truly is a one-of-a-kind car. I mean, nothing quite drives like an SL. It definitely, you feel that there's a little bit more weight to it than the AMG GT, but I welcome that because that's something I've always associated with driving an SL. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit longer than a GT. It's definitely less firm than an AMG GT, but by no means is it the lazy sports car it used to be. And on the highway, it gives you that perfect mix of being a GT car, but when you put it in Sport Plus, it has just that right amount of firmness. I really do feel like they've done a good job at getting away from the SL just being a GT car. I mean, there's some serious performance here. You put your foot down and wow, yeah, it really gets up and goes. I mean, we've seen the 4-liter V8 in many cars now and throughout the last 5-6 years, but they've really refined this motor to a point where it really just is the perfect V8 in my opinion for this car. It sounds good, the power response is immediate out of this engine, and the transmission with the gearing, it really just all works together in harmony. And for those of you who have been longtime fans of the SL and enjoy it for its ability to be kind of the perfect GT car and just be extremely comfortable when you want it to be, that hasn't left this car. The SL63s, I have driven a few past SL63s in the last generation, and even in comfort mode they were firm, but with this new suspension, it really does offer you the best of all worlds in one car. Flipping back over into sport mode. What a car. And this is still a car, you still have the massage seats, you still have the comfort. This is a car that I would easily still road trip. I mean, one of the many things that I really enjoyed about my SL is that I road tripped that thing all up and down the East Coast, and it was one of the most comfortable GT cars to have. It's nice that they haven't lost it with this, but they really have, AMG really has added the right amount of a racy feel to the car that was definitely much desired in the last previous generations. And just listen to that, the downshifts. Oh, you get the crackles and pop. Wow. And it just gives you this feeling, unlike the last generation, it had so much power and it was rear-wheel drive. you always felt like, you always felt a little wheel spin, even at higher speeds. It could get away from you a little bit. But with the all-wheel drive, it just gives you kind of like that feeling like a 911 gives you, where it's very easy to drive and it's very managed. It's under control. I think one of the best things that Mercedes does is they make it such a clear difference between the modes, like a feeling. There's so many cars that you could go throughout the drive modes in, and it'll be slightly more aggressive or it's a different shift pattern. Every mode in this car, you really do notice a significant difference in the behavior and the character and just the way it behaves just in general, I suppose. And it really does get a lot of attention and looks around town. I mean, just my short time with the car, it's just such a striking design that you really do see necks breaking as you're driving around. People look at this car, it's noticeable. This is one of the first SLs in a long time, in my opinion, that has had just absolutely drop-dead killer looks. With this generation, with AMG developing it from the ground up, I can confidently say that this finally really pulls off every role it has always tried to, but just has come up quite a little bit short of. It's always been a great looking car, but this finally is a full-on sports car that could be a GT when you want it to be. And you could use it in all 4 seasons, which has always been a huge limitation of the SL, and that's where the 911 has kind of pulled ahead in that category, because they've offered, all-wheel drive 911s now for decades. So it's nice to see that Mercedes has finally recognized that and has offered you the best of both worlds. In the drift mode, you actually do get to shut off the all-wheel drive system, but for light snow and whatnot, as long as you have winter tires on, this all-wheel drive system will get you through pretty much whatever you need it to. And truthfully, this might be one of the last true Mercedes AMG V8 cars that we see come out. Now, for this generation, the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 is a carryover engine. They didn't develop a new engine for this car, which leads me to believe that this probably will be the last V8 AMG SL experience we're going to have. But at the very least, it makes me happy that it's a good one. I mean, between the stereo system, the wind flowing through my hair, and the sound of that exhaust, this really truly is a proper swan song for the SL before they go all electric. But I'm going to be quiet. Let's switch to a POV view so you can enjoy what it's like to be behind the wheel along with me. All right, this is what it's like to be behind the wheel of the SL63. Mind my camera gear, I know it is an eyesore, but it is truly a special place to be. Let's go for a drive. Wow, just listen to the exhaust note of this car. Really is special. Keep in mind right now we're in race mode, so the shifts and the sound of the engine is definitely much more accentuated. One other thing that I will point out is the start-stop system in this car is absolutely flawless. Not every Mercedes has a good start-stop system, but in a few of the EQ Boost cars and in this application, the start-stop technology is definitely good. But I'm going to be quiet, let you guys have a little listen to the V8. I mean, it truly is just a special, special experience. You can see cruising down the coastline here. There's nothing quite like having a Mercedes SL and looking along the coastline there. I mean, truly, truly a beautiful day and such a treat to drive one of these. There's some cars that you just don't really get much of a sense or a feeling what's going on in the road, and the SL used to be that way. The steering is definitely much more precise than what I remember the last generation car feeling like. And it just feels overall much more like a sports car than a GT car. Oh man, nothing will ever replace the sound of a V8. If you're liking the POV content and you're liking the content in general, don't forget to subscribe. So let's get down to the verdict. Let me sum up my experience with the SL63. Is it worth $200,000? I would say yes. I mean, keep in mind this is a very well-spec car. You can get these cars well below $200,000, but go with me here. There are very few front-engine V8 sports cars that you can get that are convertibles right now that give you the level of luxury that you get in this car, the cutting edge tech, and the absolute raw performance that the new SL63 has. Gone are the days of this being a lazy, lethargic GT sports car. This is a real AMG. It's not just a Mercedes with a slightly tuned motor and slightly stiffer springs. This really does feel like a thoroughbred sports car. And if you're somebody who's been driving 911s, especially, say you drive Turbo S's and that's kind of your thing, and you're maybe thinking about considering an SL, this might be the first time ever that I could actually say, after testing all of those cars, by the way, I actually just drove a Turbo S 2 weeks ago, that this car can actually stack against it for probably the first time ever. Now, the Turbo S may be a little bit quicker, but the level of theater that this car brings to the table is unmatched. I mean, when you have it in Sports Plus mode or race mode and you hear those turbos and, just the feeling that you get, it truly is special. And I'm screwed because I've only spent a short time with the SL63, and being a huge Mercedes fanboy myself, as you can tell, yes, I am a Mercedes fanboy. I have had SLs, I have an S-Class coupe. This is definitely going to be going on my personal list to get next. Well, that's all for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to support me by hitting that like button, subscribe, turn on the bell notification. I'm trying to reach 50,000 subscribers by the end of 2023, and I need all of your help to do that so I can bring you more awesome content like this. But with that said, I'd like to say a special thanks to my friends down at Mercedes-Benz of Fairfield, Connecticut for making today's video possible. They're an awesome, super helpful, friendly group of people to work with. And if you're in the area or in the New England area, be sure to come down and check them out. I'm going to leave their contact information in the description below for you to do so. And with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.